I'm going to talk about my racing history a little bit. Started racing in 2007, New Year's weekend of 2007. It was a Toro race. It was really cold. I think I got like 14th in the Mini C class. So, of course, it's my first race. What do you expect? So, anyway, got started off in Toro. I think there were 4 races left in the series. Did all those, and I kept getting 14th, 15th, 16th, 13th, whatever. And then TCCRA started, and I raced the mini beginner class because I was way back in the pack in Mini C, so figured I should race the beginner class in TCCRA. So, at that point, 2007, I guess I was however old I was. So I'm 17 now. I was, 12 at that point. So, Mini C, Toro, then Mini Beginner, TCCRA. First race, clutch was completely smoked. Didn't even make the whole lap. First lap. Then just got somebody to pull me back to the pits. Whoever that was, thank you. I'm sure they don't remember. But it was before I even got off the start, the clutch was ruined. So didn't start that series off on a good note, but there were only like 3 people, and I ended up finishing the race because we got it fixed, and I was able to do like 2 laps after that, and got like 5th place or whatever because there were only like 4 other people. So I got my first trophy, and I was so pumped, and or plaque, I should say. And next race was Malakoff TCCRA race. I don't know if we started racing Torn right off the bat. I think it took a while before we figured out what Torn was. But I raced the next TCCRA race, and I won. I fell like 3 times, and Wyatt Callahan passed me, and I caught him, and he let me by. I think he thought I was lapping him or something. I don't know. But anyway, I got kind of lucky, and I won. And then I won like 3 in a row, and I was like, man, I'm awesome. And I ended up winning the championship. I mean, I don't even know if you can call it a championship. It's Mini Beginner, and they don't give trophies or anything. So I won that, and moved up to big bikes next year. But I don't even know what I got in Torn. I think my best result was a 7th in the mini amateur class. So that was 2007, and then I raced the Toro series in Light C Light C and then Mini B. No, I still did Mini C. I don't even remember, but I raced 2 classes for all Toro. We got a KTM 125 from Chip Munn, and a pre-owned one, like an 06 model. It was a great bike. And that's where our relationship with Chip started, and that was from hanging out with Charlie Bogard at the races, because I was taking lessons from him at the time. That's one of the most important relationships that I ever made with anybody, and I can't thank Charlie enough for everything that he's done for us. And he's a great guy, and anyone that's watching this that wants riding lessons, I'd really recommend him. His website is motolessons.com. But anyway, we'd been camping with them for all of those 7, and of course, naturally, we'd met Munn and the characters that are Munn Racing. but I didn't want to ride anything other than a KTM. I'd been on a Kawasaki 100 for that whole year. I guess I was on a Honda CR85 and then a KX100, and then Anyway, I just loved KTM's because that's what Charlie rode. I wanted him on racing KTM, and Charlie was not pretty much unbeatable in the pro class at that time. He was getting protested all the time, and here I am in the mini beginner class, and I'm already part of this dramatic circle, and just I was so oblivious to it all the time. It didn't really matter. But going into 2008, I had a lackluster Toro season. I don't even know what happened from 07 to 08. I don't know what the Toro season was like. I honestly don't remember. I remember racing 2 classes, and just obviously it wasn't very good because I don't even remember it. But that was my first experience on a big bike on the 125. So going into Torn and TCCRA the following year, I didn't know what to expect really, but I was confident to some point because I remember talking to people and saying, I want to win. And they're like, dude, you came from any beginner, you're not gonna win. But the light amateur or the 125 amateur, like you're not. I mean, they're like, yeah, it'd be really tough to be top 5. And I'm like, I really don't. I don't like hearing stuff that I don't believe. But I was at that time I was a really oblivious person, and everything just took me by shock if it wasn't what I thought it was, But anyway, I started 08 getting like 8th, 10th, stuff like that. The first TCCRA race was at Athens, which is one of my least favorite tracks ever. I'd probably like it now, but at the time I wasn't very good of a rider. I got a terrible start. I think I fell. I don't even remember. No, I didn't fall. I remember Charles Bogard, though, on the line, Charlie's dad, just telling me to hold it wide open because it was just a big sand sweeper first turn. It's like, man, just hold it wide open, dude. Charlie used to do these starts all the time. I'm like, dude, I'm not Charlie. I'm not that good. I'm not even a 10th as good as Charlie at that point. And anyway, I got like, 15th place start, and then the track went into the woods, into some sand rollers, just a long straightaway of sand rollers, and I passed like 4 or 5 people there. And then I got stuck in a mud hole. I was there for 10 minutes. And once I got out of there, I think I finished 13th. But anyway, rough start to the season in TCCRA. And I was also racing. Actually, the first race I didn't race 2 classes. I thought I was just going to race the 125 amateur. But as it went on, the next race, I decided to race 2 classes, and that started the whole season for me, racing 2 classes besides the first race. And I still had my KX100. We ended up getting 2 of them because they're so cheap. We got one for $800. So it was almost pointless to not have 2. Just parts bikes, just swapping back and forth. So anyway, I would swap back and forth between the bike because we'd keep one running and it'd break down. We'd put parts on the other one to make it run. But those bikes were terrible. I mean, I know KX100s dominate super mini classes, but they were terrible for us. Probably because we bought beaters that were just trashed. But I raced Mini Novice, which was not what Mini Novice is in Torn now. It was above amateur, below intermediate. So I was racing Mini Novice and then 125 amateur in TCCRA. And then in Torn, I started off racing Mini amateur and light amateur, 125 amateur. I keep saying light because that's what the classes are now. But anyway, Torn was the same way. I was getting like 10th in the 125 amateur class, and for the start of the season, and not doing very well. And as the season went on, I just kept getting better. And then it was like, I just had a breakthrough race at the Morgan Grand Prix. I stopped racing the mini amateur class and started racing the sportsman amateur. And I just had a breakthrough, and I started, Chris Story was racing light or 125 amateur, and he'd been off for like 6 months with a shoulder injury, but I knew he was fast. But anyway, the 125 amateur race, I got the whole shot, and there were like 50 people on the line. I swear, it was ridiculous. Sportsman amateur, there were 60 or so, and that was crazy. But maybe I did race mini amateur at that race. Yeah, I did. I raced mini amateur at Morgan Grand Prix in 08. But anyway, in the 125 amateur, I got the whole shot. I pulled away from everybody but Chris, and Chris, passed me, and I passed him back, and he finally pulled away from me. He finally passed me and pulled away from me. And, I couldn't do anything really, because I'm just some kid, some chubby kid. And he pulled away, and I was bummed. But it's Chris' Story, and at that time, I was like, how can I expect myself to hang with him? It's Chris' Story. But he won. I got second. And at that point, I was like, wow. I surprised myself. I was like, this is pretty good. I can get a lot better. And in TCCRA, I was leading the championship in 125 amateur. Just out of, I think my best result was like 4th. But everyone else had DNF'd a race or something. And anyway, as the season went on, I was leading the TCCRA championship by 40 points going into the last race. So I was like, okay, I got this as long as I finish, basically. Of course, the guy behind me in the championship, I got like a 3rd place start and was into the lead before the first mile of the track. I was just on a mission. I wanted to win, even though I didn't have to. And I won't name him, but I'm pretty sure he was in second. They were second and third were real close. I think they were brothers. But anyway, the guy would get on me and then fall, and then get on me again and then fall, just riding over his head. And then he finally hit me from the back, and I crashed. And his handlebars, he crashed into me also. Like he didn't crash into me, cause me to crash, but he hit my rear wheel and made me crash. And his handlebars went into my radiator, which is so weird. I mean, not even actually into the radiator. A little spout that comes out of the radiator that goes onto the radiator hose that goes to the motor went into that little metal piece and just broke it, and all the fluid came out. And we were pitting, even though I didn't have to, just to make sure that I'd finish. And he'd broken my radiator. We didn't know. We pitted, and that's what gets me to this day, is that we made a pit stop, put gas in, and didn't realize that there was radiator fluid everywhere. I don't know how that. I guess we were just so in the moment. It just didn't even. I don't know how I didn't notice it riding, but halfway into the lap, the furthest point on the track, pretty much from the pits, the bike starts and I don't have any idea what's going on, and I'm just like, this can't be happening. And sure enough, I get to the top of a hill, and it just bogs and shuts off. And I'm like, this isn't good. Yeah, I'm freaking out. My mom and dad were at certain points on the track with walkie-talkies. That's how we were so concerned about something happening. And sometimes when you're so concerned, that's the worst thing you can do. You just need to, and that's what I was trying to do, was to just forget about it and race like I would any other race. That's why I was trying to win. And I wasn't just riding for the championship. If I was riding for the championship, I would have sat in 4th or 5th and just cruised, which I should have done in hindsight. But bike blew up, towed it back, went to the finish line. They said that it didn't matter. I could push it through the finish line. It wouldn't make a difference. So, it didn't matter. I sat there and watched the guy finish, and we knew it wasn't going to work out. So I lost that championship, and it's just a 125 amateur championship, but it still makes me really sad because I took it for granted, and you can't do that. You just can't. You hear the greatest pros, the top pros leading championships, and say, "You're gonna take it easy now that you've got a cushion." Like, no, you can't take anything for granted, and that's so true. And I wish I was smart enough to just back it off a little bit, but hindsight is 2020. What are you gonna do? Anyway, that fired me up for Torn, because Torn wasn't over, and there were still like 3 races left. So I put everything I had into Torn, and I chipped away at the points lead, and going to the last race, there was four points separating us, I think, and I won that race by like 30 seconds. And the other guy had bike problems, but honestly, I don't think it really would have mattered. And this was a different guy. It wasn't the same guy. It was a different one. I just led the race basically from start to finish, and I was so happy. My parents surprised me with a brand new 2009 KTM 200XC, and but they wouldn't let me race it because the championship was on the line. I should race what I'm used to, which at that time was a 2008 KTM 144 SX, which we'd gotten like halfway through the season, and I love that bike too. Anyway, we got the 200, and I finished the 125 race, won the championship, and I was so happy. And then I lined up for 125 intermediate 15 minutes later and did that. Because I'd raced 2 classes in TCCRA the whole series, and that wasn't anything to me. To race one time, to race back to back in Torn, because Torn races are easier, as far as just being brutally tired. But anyway, that was my 2008 season, and a week later, after winning the Torn championship, I broke my tib fib foot and 2 toes, and I didn't know if I was going to make it for the next season. Anyway, that's all for today. It was a really long video. I'll continue going into 2009 next time. Peace.